Welcome to the first episode of my beginner series. So I wanted to create this series where people with little to no proper fitness experience will know what to exactly do to get to their dream physique. So from wherever you are right now, that point A and your dream physique being point B, how would you go about getting there? And I'm hoping to create this series as a one-stop guide for you to know exactly what to do. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Welcome to the first episode. If you are committed to change your physique, and if you've decided, okay, I don't want to look like this my entire life, I want to strive to be a better version of myself, I want to try and attain those sexy physiques that I see celebrities have, then what is the first step that I gotta do? Now, many of you would jump right into it and start doing a bunch of cardio and start to eat healthier, thinking that that's the way to get to their goals. But before you start wasting your time doing things that are not effective or not efficient, let me show you exactly what you need to do as the first step. So, step one, what you need to do is assess your body fat. Now, there are two things that contribute to a physique and how it looks. Okay, one is body fat, two is your lean mass. Now, depending on that combination of how much body fat you have and how much lean mass you have, that combination will determine how your physique will look like. So because this is a beginner series, I'm assuming that you haven't done much proper training. Now, everybody's different. Maybe you came from a athletic background, maybe in school you've joined varsity or you play a lot of sports, then maybe you have a little more lean mass than the average individual. But for the purpose of this series, I'm going to assume that everybody starting here won't have much proper training, so they don't really have a lot of lean mass. And so everybody starting here, I'm going to assume that you don't got muscle, okay? And because of that, we're going to look at just your body fat. So first step is to assess your body fat. Given that if your body fat is low and obviously the amount of muscle you have is low, then you look skinny. I want you to assess what you are in terms of these three types of body. So low body fat, low lean mass means you're skinny. What would that look like? Well, you will probably have some ab definition. This applies, by the way, to both men and women. Okay, so skinny is when you have maybe ab definition. You don't have much lean mass, so you're gonna literally look very, very skinny. So I'm gonna post two pictures right here, and I'm going to show you what skinny looks like. I think for the most part it should be quite self-explanatory. So that would be skinny. Skinny fat is when you look skinny in clothes, but you actually have a moderate amount of body fat, again with a low amount of lean mass. So that combination would generate a skinny fat body. So for guys, usually what you would look like is you would look skinny in clothes, but once you take your shirt off, for example, you have a little belly, okay, and your arms aren't defined. It's like soft looking. And then for women, it's usually when they're in clothes they look fine, but they're a little bit flabby. You know, there's a little bit of a fat underneath the arms, a little fat in the limbs, in the thighs. So you aren't lean, but in clothes because you have a low lean mass, your overall kind of bodily volume is low. So in clothes, you would still look skinny and people won't kind of look at you and say you're fat, but you know you got some body fat on you. So this would be skinny fat, and I will show you what that looks like. All right, moving on to the last category, fat. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You look fat, whether or not you wear clothes, people can tell you are overweight. Okay, so this would be a high amount of body fat. So from here, low amount of body fat, moderate, and high. So assess yourself where you are in this category. So a lot of gyms, a lot of trainers, a lot of gurus online would tell you, oh, body fat, what you gotta have that number, you know, what are you? Are you at 12.3%? Are you at 18.5%? Are you at, 26.897584%? What does that even mean? Who cares? At the end of the day, you're not gonna look at your physique and be like, yeah, this is 12.586%. Damn, I look good. No, you just look in the mirror, you like what you see, that's it, right? So who cares what that number is? This is why I've simplified it down to these 3 categories so that you know where about your starting point is, okay? So after you've gotten to know which category you are, let's move down to step 2, which is your nutrition approach. Now I'm going to be making an in-depth video later on nutrition, but here we're just going to be focusing on the calories to keep things simple for now. So if you are in a skinny category, then what you need to do usually to get to your dream physique would be to put on some lean mass and focus on that. So this will be lean bulk. Okay, and how would you go about that? Is that you need to consume an extra 150 to 300 calories surplus. That means you're eating a little more than your maintenance calories. So you may ask, what is maintenance calories? Maintenance calorie is essentially the exact amount of calories you need to maintain your body, maintain your weight, maintain how you look. So how would you know what your maintenance calories is? I will put a link in the description below, and that will bring you to a calculator and you can find out what your maintenance calorie is. So most people make the mistake of just start to eat a bunch of food and they just stuff themselves. The problem is that our body can't really utilize that much calories in a day. So if you're stuffing yourself with thousands of calories of surplus, then you're going to eventually move down here. And just because you're skinny and you say, oh, I'm sick of being skinny, well, let me tell you that it doesn't look any better here. It doesn't look any better here. So you want to keep your calories just enough so that your body will build muscle and not extra fat. And that is what you want to bulk your body with. You don't want to bulk your body with body fat. You want to bulk your body with majority of that weight being lean mass, being muscle. So that sweet spot is about 150 to 300 calories of surplus. Obviously, calorie isn't the only thing that you need to worry about. For the most part, you should also worry about macronutrients, but in step 1, we won't be worrying about that. Again, I will be making an in-depth video on nutrition. So moving on, we have the second category, skinny fat. If you're skinny fat, that means you want to take a balanced approach between fat loss and muscle gain. So what that process is called is recomposition. So we're kind of morphing that ratio of your body fat and your lean mass. So to do this, we need to put ourselves in a slight caloric deficit. And in this case, I would recommend being in a 10% calorie deficit. So if your maintenance calorie is 2000, then 10% calorie deficit is 200 calories. So you should be consuming 2000 minus 200, which is 1800 calories. While being on this slight calorie deficit, you will be still able to gain lean mass with proper training, which I will explain later. And in the third category, if you're fat, then obviously we're going to be focused on fat loss. So my recommendation is about 20 to 30% of a calorie deficit. I want you to be careful with the 30%. Don't just think, oh, 30%, I'm just go as fast as I can. I'm just gonna pick 30% calorie deficit and I'm just gonna, drop weight, drop it like it's hot. No, that's not how it works, okay? For 30%, this number is for folks who are actually really overweight, and I'm talking like obese. But if you're just a little bit fat, if you're just chubby, I would keep it at 20% because this is way too drastic of a calorie deficit. So be very careful what that deficit is that you pick. Once you figure out what your target calorie is based on your category, then let's move on to the third portion, which is training approach. So as you can see, all three categories are doing the same training, right? Think about that. Most people actually think, well, if I'm trying to gain muscle or if I'm trying to lose fat, isn't there like a muscle building workout? Isn't there like a fat loss workout? And here's where I'm gonna cut the BS, okay? There is no one single type of workout that will burn fat, that will build muscle. The truth is, any movement, any exercise will obviously cost you some calories. So that's fat burning by itself. I wouldn't call it fat burning exercise, but it will get you to spend some calories. And any resistance training that will introduce a difficult stimulus to your body will build some muscle. So there is no fat loss workout or just muscle building workout. But what I do think that it's critical to do is strength training. So if you're trying to get to your dream physique, you want to look chiseled and toned. So what toning is, and actually I've had a different video before explaining what toning is, but here's a quick overview of what toning is. So what toning is imagine your body as a cylinder. Now you have on the inside, you have the bone structure, can't do anything about that. And then the second layer is your lean mass, your muscle. And then your outermost layer is your fat. So what toning is literally bring out your lean mass a little bit by increasing muscle, build some muscle, build a little bit of muscle, and decreasing your body fat. If you're in these two categories, decrease that body fat so that you will reveal that muscle definition and you will look tight and toned. So in order to achieve the bringing out the lean mass part, we have to introduce some sort of resistance training, some sort of strength training. And to actually build that muscle, you need what's called progressive overload structure. So what progressive overload means, it's just a fancy way of saying improving your strength by gradually increasing the difficulty of resistance, gradually introducing to your body more difficult stimulus. So there are a few options you can do for strength training. My personal recommendation is weightlifting. The reason being, one, it's easy to measure progressive overload because on weights, there are numbers, right? So if you're pushing, 100 pounds bench press, and next session you're pushing 105 pound bench press, that's literally 5 pounds more. That's a 5% increase. You are improving. You know how much you are improving by. But if you are doing, let's say, a body weight push-up and you are doing a knee down, let's say a knee down body weight push-up, and then once you found it easy to do, you have your knees up and you're doing a full body push-up, like I'll ask you, by what percent exactly is the knee down push-up easier than the full body? Like by how much are you really introducing this overload, right? It's hard to measure how difficult something is in certain types of workout. I'm not saying that other types of workout aren't effective, they are, but I am saying that with weightlifting, that is an advantage. So a second advantage for weightlifting is that most exercises can actually target certain body parts, certain muscle groups, so that you can actually directly impact its size and growth. So you can literally sculpt your body in the ratio that you want. So this is why I personally recommend using weightlifting as your strength training protocol. But you can also do, CrossFit, you can do body weight training, you can do calisthenics. There's a lot of resistance incorporated HIIT training. They're all fine, it's up to you and your goals. So pick one that you like and pick one with a progressive overload backbone structure. So it needs to be progressively getting harder. So that should be your step one plan as to how you should get to your dream physique. Now, because I am specialized in weightlifting, in future videos, when I'm talking about training, I will be focusing on weightlifting. So if weight training is something that you'd be interested in, then definitely stay tuned. But one myth that I need to tell you before you choose which style of training you want to pick is that weight training will not get you bulky. Okay, so if you think that weight training is associated with being like Hulk, then, well, first of all, I'm not Hulk, right? I've been weightlifting for 10 years now, and I don't think I'm Hulk. So weightlifting isn't going to get you bulky. You're not going to lift a couple of weights and then next day wake up and be like, oh shit, I've overtrained, now I'm too bulky. No, that's not gonna happen, so don't worry, okay? What it will do is it will actually sculpt your body in the ratio that you want so that it can actually directly help you get to your dream physique. So keep that in mind when you're choosing. So that's it for today's episode. My name's Andy and this is the Beginner Series first episode. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. I will be going in depth on every single step on how you should approach this to get to your dream physique. And I'm not talking just lose a couple of pounds or something. I'm talking getting to your ideal physique and stay there. So this will be your one-stop guide to how to do that. So if you like what you see, then please like this video, share it with your friends and family, hit that follow button, and I'll see you in the next one.